Hey everybody, Crystal here with Pet Biz Advisors, and welcome again to Beyond the Shears, where groomers get business savvy. So today I want to talk to you, and especially my solopreneurs out there, about what would happen to your business if something were to happen to you. I know it's always a fun topic. And I know not everyone wants to talk about this because it's not very pleasant. But if you're a solopreneur and you're not just the service provider, you wear many hats. You're the CEO, you're in charge of all the finances, you're the marketer, the scheduler, and so much more. But what if you get sick or injured or temporarily get put out of service, so to speak, due to a family emergency or something along those lines? What do you do to keep the business running? Or would your business just become a standstill? Would it just stop functioning without you? And for many of you guys out there, the answer would be yes, it would stop functioning. Like I wouldn't be able to pay the bills. I wouldn't be able to pay myself. Things would just go on a halt. So therefore, it's always nice to have some kind of backup. Now we're going to dive into what every solo grooming business owner needs as far as a trusted backup and what does that look like, especially when it comes to financial and digital access, because that's one of our biggest things is how do we get in contact with the clients? How do we continue to pay the bills? Do we have someone who could do that for us temporarily while we're just out of service for a minute? And also, are you covered? How can you handle your finances and budget at that point? Do you have something like insurance that will help cover you if you do get hurt, if you do get out of commission for a while? Do you have something, and again, I'll use the name Aflac, for example, is a really good known resource for insurance to be able to help cover you if you temporarily short term get placed out of work because of some unknown accident or illness for yourself. So I'm going to start out by saying this, though. I am not a lawyer and I'm not giving any legal counsel or information. I always recommend that you seek counsel with a lawyer and any kind of attorney as far as reforms for setting up your businesses, creating bylaws and partnership agreements, and any kind of powers of attorney needs to go through an actual lawyer. Okay, just full disclosure with that. But if you don't have one, a couple of places you can look, which you can obviously, word of mouth is always the best, right? Because you have people who've already worked with that individual or firm. Or you can go to maybe your local chamber of commerce, or you can go to the Better Business Bureau just to get a start. Those are probably pretty good firms that you would want to talk with at that point. So, what made me create this episode, this solo episode? And so, just a little bit of back history. So, I recently was in a Facebook group for pet grooming business owners, and there was a business owner that stated, "I really want to get a family friend or a coworker or relative to actually be signature authority on my bank account." And she was asking it for various other reasons, but it kind of sparked an idea. I'm like, I wonder how many people don't have that backup plan. So if something happens to them, they don't have any way to continue to pay bills, to pay staff if they're on there. No way to notify customers through their grooming scheduler or the grooming software. So you kind of need to get that in the back of your mind and get that rolling. So it got me thinking. I said, let me do an episode and maybe help out with that. The reason why is I have been a solo business owner for many years myself until recently. So I understand exactly what this individual was talking about and why she was asking. No, I really never want to think about the bad things, right? The quote, bad things. We don't want to think about what could go wrong. I said, but preparedness is not always about the bad. It's more so how to not make the bad things any worse by not having a plan in place, essentially. Okay, so I'll go through a few steps here with you, and you can take notes. Go back to some of the chapters in here. And so, step one is going to be getting signature authority and why it matters. Okay, so let me start out by defining what is signature authority. So, it is the legal ability to access, manage, or make decisions on behalf of the business in banking relationships. So, basically, someone has access to sign checks, transfer money, pay your bills, right? So, they do have full access to that, which is why it is so, so, so important to make sure this is like your ride or die person, right? Like, that they're not going to pull the wool over your eyes, take money from you, and hurt you or your business in any way, shape, or form. Now, I know when it comes to money, sometimes people can surprise us. I've been there myself, but it is something though that you really would want to have. So it could be a family member, friend, something like that. And it also applies to your checking, savings, credit lines, money market accounts, all of that. And why this is critical for solopreneurs. So emergencies, sudden illnesses, accidents, family crises, that's what constitute the definition of an emergency. We don't expect it. It's just out of left field. Typically, we're not expecting that. We don't realize what's going to happen. I know recently there have been a few people that have gotten really non-favorable medical diagnoses that they're having to face now. And prayers go out to them, but it is what happens. It's life. It's not always fair. It's not always pleasant, but it's just something we have to be prepared for. So, other things why it's going to be critical. So, temporary disruptions such as travel, hospitalization, and things like that. Even if you want to go on a vacation and you might want to take an extended vacation, not just a couple of days, you know, do you have bills that are coming due? And now I know, obviously, in this day and age, if you're physically capable, you can pay bills over the phone. We have a wonderful thing called technology, and that's great. But sometimes it is still better to have that backup in place for other reasons. And it basically avoids anything such as having your assets frozen, because that can affect payroll, rent, utilities, vendor payments, suppliers. So you don't want to have your bank just sitting there not paying your bills on a regular basis. So who can have signature authority? So obviously, trusted spouse, family member, and I am going to kind of take a little deviation here. I understand not all of these people that I'm going to say you might have a bad history with them. Is kind of what I'm getting at. You might not, when I say a person's, label, you may not like it because you're like, oh, I would never trust that person. And that's fine. That's your story and we hear you. But I would really look into having somebody be able to do certain things. It could even be a lawyer, a law firm that comes in, and if you're ever just temporarily incapacitated, they can come in and help you with that or assign someone to do that for your account. So again, trusted spouse or family member. It says here, some of my notes, bookkeeper or business manager. Now, keep in mind, my company, we don't really do that. We have bill pay, but we do not have signature authority on any account. That's why when I was looking this up, I was like, bookkeeping, accounting. I mean, some places do, some places will, and typically you'll find that maybe in the bigger firms. But most smaller firms, our liability insurance won't let us do that, nor would I want to, I'll be honest. But you actually have a process where you have to formally add this person, whoever you decide, you have to add this person formally to your account. I recently did this for like with my parents. I'm on their account as well as signature authority. So if anything happens to them, basically I will be their, executor of their estate. And so that's also good. If you can have, an estate, a trustee, you can have an executor, you can name someone to do that. They could also help the business side of things. Formal process is that you and the individual go in together in person to your bank. You'll sit down, the bank will ask some questions, they'll fill out some paperwork, and then they'll capture their signature. And then they will, at that time, be put on your account to be able to sign checks on the business's behalf. Now, am I telling you also to do this for your personal? That is up to you. This is strictly business. So, but it probably is not a bad idea. That way you have someone on there. I know that my husband has his mother on his account as well. I know we haven't changed over yet to where we're on each other's accounts, but we just left it on there and she's very trustworthy, so we don't mind that. Okay, so what are some of the pros, the advantages about doing this? Well, it ensures continuity in emergencies. It reduces any kind of downtime. It builds trust and support for your system, your business, and for your clients. So some of the disadvantages of that, and probably already know where I'm going with this, you're legally giving another person access to your business funds. It must be someone trustworthy. I cannot stress that enough. If you don't have anyone that you can think of, like I would never have let somebody into my bank account like that, then I would maybe even seek legal counsel to say, who could I do this with? Can you help me get through this? Because again, when you are solo, it's just you. And the thing is, you don't want your business just to completely stop if possible. The other thing is it's not a set it and forget it. It requires regular check-ins, meaning like the person will kind of be a little bit more in your business. It might be slightly annoying, so they're going to make sure that everything's good, how's everything going, and let me know if you need any help with anything. Yeah. So there's a potential for misuse if boundaries aren't clear. So before you even ask the individual, you as the business owner need to get very clear about what that role entails. Like, what would you want them to do? I personally would probably sit down and make a list of all of my vendors, all of my bank information. Most of you probably have things on automatic payments, such as your rent, some utilities. They automatically come out through that account, and that's great. But I would still give them a list so they know what to look for. And possibly even if for some reason you start getting low in funds, they need to know like how low your bank account can get without, something being done, interceded, something like that. 10 areas that solopreneurs need backup or contingency access. All right, so here's a few of them. So you wear all the hats, but we need backup and access to certain software and documentation. Number one are the bank accounts, signature authority, access to online banking, recurring bill payment. And that's something else you can also do if you haven't already done. If your vendor does not have like an automatic ACH payment, like for example, most utility companies, you can set it up online, automatically comes out, the balance will come out, you're good. But your bank probably also has some type of bill pay that you can go ahead and set up. So if anything happens, all your signature person needs to do is just log into the bank and go in and pay the bills automatically. And they'll just go boop, and they'll just pay all the bills with the checking account, and you'll be good to go, at least hopefully for a couple of months. Business email. This is something I sometimes forget. People need to be able to access your inbox if you have certain notifications that come through, certain emails from customers or clients that come through. Now, a lot of you may not, because most of you have some type of grooming software that the notification gets sent through that portal. But all of you probably also have some kind of like, I get a notification on my email if something does come through. So business email is also good to have access to. Website and domain hosting. This is another one. So logins for your domain hosting platform, website, CMS, anything like that, they have access to. I would make sure at least, write them down. You don't have to actually give them to them, but either put them on the cloud somewhere on a secure location, or have like a binder in the store that's behind lock and key, so to speak, like in a filing cabinet. That way they have access to the key and they can get in and get all of your passwords and information to get logged in. Social media accounts. This is one that actually happened to me. A couple of years ago, Facebook didn't like what I had to say. So on my personal account, they deleted my account. They just up and deleted it. So what happened was all of my business accounts were also terminated because they were linked to that account. Now they wouldn't have been, but I did not have an additional admin in that account to be able to add me back under my new ID, under my new Facebook ID. So I lost all of those pages. I had a couple of nonprofits. I had my business page, of course, and I was just devastated. I was like, I can't believe that. So now, as soon as I create a group or a Facebook account or business page, make sure you have someone else that can add you back if your personal account gets, nixed. So you want to make sure that that's on there as well. So again, Facebook groups and pages, same thing. We just did that. Scheduling software. So if you use Mogo or Paulfinity or something like that, make sure that they have the passwords to get in there, as well as your Square, any kind of appointments. I think most of them probably go through the grooming software nowadays, but any kind of backup access that they can get in there if they needed to. Accounting and bookkeeping. All right, we're speaking my language here, right? So QuickBooks, Waves, any kind of spreadsheets, Google Docs, things like that, somebody needs to be able to access. So if you are working with a bookkeeper, good news, you already have that part taken care of. So the bookkeeper or the accountant can get in there and they can, help maintain your books, and they're just going to continue on like nothing's happened. But as far as being able to track, cash and financials, I would also maybe give somebody your password to be able to get in there if they needed to. Okay. So client contact list, CRM, names, numbers, notes, anything for the clients that they might need to know. Mostly, if something like this were to happen, they would just probably need to send out like a group message to all of your clients saying, in a very delicate way, like what's going on, that, as the business owner, you're not going to be available for a little bit, that you're expected to be back in, hopefully, fairly short amount of time. And then you can get back to work, but you will need to reschedule appointments between this date and this date. And you'll have to push them out a little bit, and just thanking them for being understanding and be able to go from there. If I knew I was going to be out or potentially be out, and it was an emergency, I would maybe have a backup groomer that could help you. Either they can come in and do your dogs, or that they can take their dogs to that groomer just temporarily. And you're like, I'm not going to give my dogs to someone else. But the thing is, if you know you're going to be out for a few weeks, you're going to have such a backlog. It would be the professional thing to do for the clients. Because remember, we're in a service based business. I am too. And it's not just about, I want to save face. I want to keep my clients. I don't want to share. I don't want to share them with anybody else. I get it. But at the same time, that's what's best for the dog and the clients, because you don't want them to get matted. You don't want them to have really long nails. They could have some skin issues going on that need to be looked at. So you want to make sure that the client is taken care of first and foremost. And then also insurance policies, business licenses, keep digital and printed copies around. So that way, if something happened insurance wise, somebody can access that as well. Emergency SOP or hit by a bus document. I always tell people this, right? I said, if I ever get hit by a bus, this is what you do. Again, it sounds pretty sad, and it's, again, not always fun to talk about, but there are those things that you need. Again, overview of how to access critical areas for software technology business, including passwords. If you have LastPass, it's Last, LAST, Pass, PASS. I have it on my phone. I like it a lot. So it's a digital way, because you can even give someone access to that. That's the easiest way to give them access to all of your websites, passwords, and things. You could just easily send it to them. And then that way they have access, and you don't have to give them an actual binder with information in there. So that does help. Okay. So what do we do next? So you don't have to hand over the keys to the castle, but you need a plan. So listing out all the tools, platforms, and accounts like you had, like I was just talking about, identify the trusted person, whether it's a family or business friend, or even a virtual assistant. Some of you that have possible virtual assistants out there, you can actually hire someone. If something were to happen to me, this email goes out. We need to take care of things. Create an access plan and using secure password manager such as LastPass. I would really recommend you guys getting that. I don't think it costs any money. Um, they might have, I think they have like a premier or professional version of it, but I just use the free one. Set a calendar reminder to review this every 6 to 12 months. So you can put it on your calendar, update any passwords, update any websites, any additional software that you have. Just go in there about once every 6 months and just update everything. That way you know that you have everything listed. So this is about business continuity and peace of mind, and it's not about fear. So your business deserves that level of protection. So just make sure that, again, you identify the right person and then you stay on top of this idea. So, okay, well, I guess that's it, guys. This is a short and sweet one, but thank you so much for joining me on this very important conversation. And if you've been putting this kind of thing off, then let this be your sign that you need to get things moving in that direction to make sure that as the CEO of your grooming business, your business and your clients are taken care of no matter what the situation. So if you need help creating your own business backup plan, or if you want to see what even something like mine might look like, just head over to the Pet Biz community. It's a Facebook group, and you can join us there. It's for specifically for grooming pet business owners and even groomers if you want to come. And I'm sharing just simple backup checklists and things like that. So I'll probably will have a PDF here soon on that. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share Beyond the Shears with your peers. Okay. So take care, and I appreciate you very much for listening, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.